I'm Ann Charles.
I'm Keith Ghostland.
I'm Linda Quinlan, and welcome to All Things LGBTQ. Today is Tuesday, June 10th, and we are recording at Orca Media, which we acknowledge is unceded Indigenous land. And
I have many stories to cover, not surprisingly.
Your
but-
Gaza statement, oh, sorry.
Right, before I start, I want to once again register my outrage at the genocide in Gaza. It's expanded to new and horrible, unapologetic dimensions, and equally reprehensible is the United States' continued complicity in it. So it's unacceptable, unconscionable, and I'd like to say not in our name, but
Sorry to interrupt you, but it's important that you keep saying that, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wish I could do more. Okay, so now I have some cheerful, let's start with some cheerful world news. Starting with the cities where Pride is at least 1 million people strong. As you know, Pride started as a protest, and while many of today's biggest Pride festivals still carry that spirit of resistance, and my editorial comment is I think they all should, they've also grown into massive celebrations of queer joy, visibility, and connection. Around the world, these events now draw millions of LGBTQ plus people and allies each year, transforming entire cities into living, breathing expressions of identity and love. Now, I'd like to spotlight the biggest Pride festivals in the world in 2025 by attendance, from the legendary streets of Sao Paulo to the global world stage of World Pride, Washington, D.C. Let's start with Sao Paulo, and I can't show you pictures because there are just too many. Sao Paulo Pride in Brazil hosts 3 to 5 million attendees. It's the largest Pride celebration on the planet. It's already a powerhouse of queer culture. This is Brazil's largest city, with a vast LGBTQ plus population and strong ties to activism. Despite ongoing political tensions, Pride here is a vibrant act of visibility and joy. The year's main parade falls on June 22nd. Next, we have to include World Pride in Washington, D.C. 3 million people are expected. We'll see. It occurs in Washington, D.C. on DuPont Circle from May 23rd to June 8th, and Linda may have a follow-up about that. This also corresponds to the 50th anniversary of D.C.'s own Capitol Pride. Pride Toronto, Canada, 3 million attendees. It'll occur in downtown Toronto from June 26th to June 29th. Then New York City, and this is sort of interesting coverage.
Toronto's ahead of New York City?
Yes.
Wow.
New York City has 2 million plus attendees, and they're only counting the main Pride, which they say is in Greenwich Village.
Yeah.
And it overlooks the Queer Liberation March, which occurs at the same time and also draws at least thousands of people.
Dyke March.
Well, it's set for June 29th, and this year's theme is Rise Up, Pride and Protest. And I've seen reports, I'm sure we all have, about DEI initiatives causing corporate sponsors to back off. Madrid Pride in Spain, 2 million plus attendees. It's at Cueca Square from June 26th through July 6th. This is Europe's largest Pride. London Pride, of course, in the UK. It's the largest celebration in the UK, 1.5 million attendees in central London. Saturday, July 5th, between 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So some of these have spilled over into July, as you'll see, including Cologne Pride in Germany, 1.2 million attendees. These are all plus. July 3rd through July 5th. Mexico City Pride, 1 million plus attendees at El Ángel de la Independencia, Sunday, June 29th, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. It's one of the largest pride celebrations in Latin America, although I think of Mexico City as Central America. Buenos Aires Pride in Argentina, 1 million plus attendees, Plaza de Mayo, Saturday. This is out of the box, November 8th, 2025. Chicago Pride, 1 million plus attendees, which is in Boys Town on June 29th. Which kind of surprised me. But let's talk about other major pride festivals around the world. Well, the biggest pride celebrations tend to happen in the Americas and Europe. Several standout festivals across Asia and Africa are rapidly growing and are absolutely worth the trip if we plan to attend personally. Here are a few of the largest. Bangkok Pride in Thailand. Over 300,000 were expected on June 1st, 2025. I wonder if that occurred. Following the country's legalization of same-sex marriage, Bangkok Pride is shaping up to be Southeast Asia's most powerful celebration of love and visibility with a multi-day parade and cultural events. Pride PH Festival at Quezon City in the Philippines. Over 200,000 attendees are expected on June 28, 2025. This community-led, government-supported event in Metro Manila includes a major march and a weekend-long celebration that's quickly becoming a flagship pride for the region. Taiwan Pride in Taipei, over 180,000 attendees. Held every October, Taiwan Pride is the largest in East Asia and a symbol of progress as Taiwan remains the only place in the region to legalize same-sex marriage. Johannesburg Pride, South Africa, around 40,000 attendees, the longest running and largest parade in Africa. Joburg Pride centers LGBTQ plus advocacy on a continent where visibility can still be a fight in itself. So that's the recap from around the world.
Well, that's good news.
Isn't it? Now I have another world story, or we can go on to Keith, whatever.
One more story.
Okay. Let's.
She's being nice to you today.
I know it. I'll see you in a moment. Let's look at a picture now of Imani Khalif, who is a world medalist, Olympic gold medalist, who now has to take a test determining her gender. She'll be banned from all world boxing competitions until she takes this test, which is genetic test, sex testing. World Boxing said it'll introduce this mandatory sex testing to determine the eligibility of male and female boxers who want to take part in their competitions. This is pretty much aimed at Khalif. These concerns arose from her potential participation in the upcoming Eindhoven Box Cup in June. The organization said it contacted, she's Algerian, the Algerian Boxing Federation to let it know Khalif will not be allowed to participate until she takes this test. The decision to mandate it came in part due to the controversy surrounding her after she won a gold medal at the Paris Olympics. She came under intense scrutiny over misconceptions about gender, fueled by claims from the International Boxing Association, which has permanently been banned from the Olympics, an interesting twist, that both she and another boxer failed unspecified eligibility tests for the women's competition at the last year's World Championships. She's boxed for years on the international stage without any gender issues or questions until the year before the Olympics, when she was disqualified from the International Boxing Association's World Championships. So this test has been studied in 2023. It was published in Genes and discovered that sex assessment This test was pretty valid. Sex assessment achieved an accuracy of 72% on non-adults and 97% on adults. It's a simple swab. World Boxing, this is their statement. World Boxing respects the dignity of all individuals and its overriding priority to ensure safety and competitive fairness to all athletes. It said that's a purely political remark in my view. Mandatory testing procedures will begin July 1, 2025. So that's my last world story.
Okay, well, thank you.
I saw that and it's like, let it go.
I know.
It's like, okay.
Leave people alone.
So June is Pride Month, and I've been advised that this is probably the last year I should do this set of trivia questions because you all know the answers. We'll see. This was the first out gay man elected to the Vermont legislature, the first out lesbian elected to the Vermont legislature. Anne's writing them down already, and the first transgender elected to the Vermont legislature. So looking at events, Rainbow Umbrella, you ready? Book discussion group?
Yes,
Reading Pomegranate.
right.
And you both like it now?
I haven't started it.
Okay. Women's discussion group?
Going along.
And what are you discussing?
Well, now we're, for the next meeting, we're going to listen to a panel of black lesbians who are, 3 of the 4 are elders, and it's just a lovely thing to watch. They're all friends, and they've been doing it for ages. 178, 174, 177. I mean, it's just great, lovely, fun.
Youngsters, yeah. Okay, and as Ann has been saying on previous shows, the Plainfield Cutler Memorial Library, LGBTQ plus book discussion group, first Sunday of each month, 1 to 2 o'clock. Share what you're reading.
Yeah.
There is no assigned reading. You don't need to register.
Just come and do it.
Bring your snacks. Come and talk about your favorite queer authors and queer books.
And the next meeting
So-
is July 6th.
Right. Barry Opera House on June 20th through the 22nd. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Rent. And this is being put on by the Acorn Youth Arts Incorporated. They had a table at the Barry Pride event.
Oh, yeah?
They are more than they appear. This is a group that was brought together specifically for rural queer youth for the performing arts, and they have a splinter group which is an outdoor club for queer youth. So, and they may have said that they would like to come talk to us about, Ann was waiting for that one. You gave them our card, correct? They would really love to promote what it is they're doing, and they were happy that we were telling people about their show. So, Fox Market, Tuesday, June 17th, they're having their 4th anniversary party. Who would have thought? Be on the lookout for free birthday cake all day. Okay, one of us can have the birthday cake.
I'm ready.
Yeah, on Friday, June 20th from 7 to 9 p.m., open mic. Might be queer poetry reading. Yeah, it's like I look at her each time just to. And on Sunday, June 29th from 12 to 2 p.m., KC Phipps is hosting their book launch at the Fox Market. Come and hear them read excerpts, and they will have a copy of their first book, Identity Church, on sale. Do you know about? Okay, we're going to have to do some follow-up. And on Saturday, June 28th at Foxy's in Barrie is Liv's Trivia Night. Yeah, we're staying away from that one.
I love trivia. Can we go?
But does trivia like us?
What's the date?
For the trivia is Saturday, June 28th.
We're free.
We're in town. We'll see.
a Buffy-themed
Oh,
trivia night.
Count me out.
Okay,
I love Buffy. Buffy
Well,
the
there we go.
Vampire Slayer?
Must be.
there we go. So, the Savoy Theater, just in time for the solstice, the final film in the Queer Film Fest, Rocky Horror Picture Show, on June 20th, 2 performances, or 2 showings, 7 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. We could dress and,
They should have it
Go.
at midnight like everybody else.
like the tradition in the village.
Yeah.
Vermont Queer Arts Festival is Saturday, August 2nd at the Millstone Hill in Websterville. And again, they've already told us that the winter fair is on December 6th, and they're going to let us know when they're starting to take vendors. And that's what I had for events,
All right. Well,
unless you can think of something else that
No.
you've heard about that you Facebook people only know.
yeah. No, but, and the over 50 group, I think, is still meeting on Thursdays.
Oh,
At
at Rainbow
Rainbow
Bridge?
Yeah, at 10 to,
Okay.
10 to noon.
Okay.
I have sort of mixed news, but nearly 50 anti-LGBTQ incidents have happened in Ohio this year, according to a new report by Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. GLAAD's anti-LGBT extremism reporting tracker documented 932 anti-LGBT incidents nationwide from May 1st, 24 to May 1st, 25. A little more than half of all the nation's incidents target transgender and gender nonconforming people. These incidents led to 84 injuries, including one in Ohio, and 10 deaths, according to the report. And Nancy Pelosi honors those lost to the AIDS epidemic with Gay Men's Chorus of D.C. during World Pride. Here's a picture of her with all the chorus. So that's kind of fun.
Nancy Pelosi at one of the marches on Washington spoke on behalf of Bill Clinton for his administration.
And Jennifer Lopez brought a message of LGBTQ liberation to the front lawn of the White House. We are singing and dancing right here in their front lawn, misbehaving. Yep, we are, Lopez told the crowd Friday at the World Pride Music Festival in D.C. The festival was held at the festival grounds at RFK campus, just miles from the president's residence. You go. The Department of Health and Human Services fiscal year 26 budget, released Friday, confirms the administration's intent to eliminate all funding for 988 suicide and crisis lines for LGBTQ youth specialized services, effective October 1st. The move finalizes a draft proposal leaked in April and drew swift condemnation from mental health experts and advocates who say it will endanger the lives of queer and trans youth. So they like canceling things, but they don't like doing anything. And spoke about DuPont Circle. There was people fled from DuPont Circle on the Saturday in the waning moments of World Pride's parade celebration after violent incidents less than 2 miles away from where the procession ended. A stabbing happened at 7:02 p.m. In DuPont Circle Park during a fight between groups of juveniles. 2 minors were sent to the hospital, conscious and breathing. In separate incident at 7:52 p.m. after police cleared DuPont Circle Park, a shooting happened near the space. One adult male was transported to the hospital with a gunshot wound to his foot. So I have no information about who did this or
It was
what.
fairly recent, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Maybe details will emerge.
yeah. U.S. Senator Jeff Merkley and, of Oregon and U.S. Senator Representative Becca Balint of Vermont, both Democrats, have introduced legislation to nullify Donald Trump's anti-LGBTQ plus executive orders. The No Place for LGBTQ plus Hate Act, introduced Thursday, would ensure that Trump's anti-LGBTQ orders would have no force or effect, and that no federal funds would be used to put them into effect. See where
Good
that
for
goes.
them,
Good try.
fighting the good fight.
Yeah. And U.S. Senator Adam Schiff, a California Democrat and long LGBTQ plus ally, tried to pass a resolution urging reconsideration of the decision to strip Harvey Milk's name from a Navy ship. But he was blocked by one single vote.
Oh, God.
So all those names are coming off.
Yeah, not only milk.
Well, we're being erased.
Civil rights names are being taken
Right.
off.
Yeah.
U.S. Representative Sharice Davids is observing Pride Month by reintroducing a bill aimed at improving mental health care for LGBTQ plus and intersex youth. Davids, a Kansas Democrat who is gay and Native American, introduced similar bills in 2003, 2024, and a Senate version was introduced in 2024. But as you can well imagine, none of them passed.
I'm shocked.
I know.
Stunned.
too.
Just stunned.
Now, this is interesting, right? The U.S. Supreme Court unanimously sided with an Ohio woman Thursday who claimed she was discriminated against for being straight. She said her gay boss didn't promote her. The ruling in Ames versus Ohio Department of Youth Services will now allow similar suits to be brought in the U.S., and making it easier for members of majority groups to claim job discrimination over their identity. So,
Is that vote 6 against and 6 to 3?
I believe it probably was. And former White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre has left the Democratic Party and has become an independent.
And people are slamming her for that
I know, why?
because she's a target. Black, queer.
And then there was a bridge lighting in Florida. I don't know if you remember last year. They weren't, people in Florida weren't allowed to fly flags or,
Yeah.
show pride. And last year they lit up all these flashlights with different colors, pride colors. Well, this year they went, and the bridge was supposed to be closed from, I don't know, at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock. So they tried to stop them from doing that. When they went earlier to do this, they found that the drawbridge had been raised, so they couldn't even get on the bridge. So they had another plan, which was they walked to another bridge, which was like half a mile away, and they had 146 standing spots on that bridge where flashlight holders could stand if needed. So they moved to another bridge and had their lighting there. So I guess everybody's trying their best to
Overcome it all.
overcome a lot. So now we're going to move to Ann and see what she has to say.
I have many things to say, and I'm starting out with mostly good news. And I'm just going to go until Linda stops me, which always often happens. Let's start with this delightful story from Canada. And a Canadian airline honors Pride Month
I love this
with all
story.
LGBTQ plus flight crew. It's somewhat of a thrill, and let's take a look at the flight crew. The passengers erupted in cheers as the captain welcomed them aboard. In a heartwarming ode to Pride Month, Air Canada launched its first ever flight staffed entirely by LGBTQ plus people. It was a bit of a range of emotions this morning coming here, and getting dressed for this flight, said Captain Marseille in a video of the experience posted to the airline social media. Friend Jean-Francois, a station attendant, called it as a historical moment and a great initiative for the whole community. It's somewhat of a thrill being on this flight today, he added. A celebration marking the flight shows the crew smiling and waving rainbow flags, flanked by a colorful balloon arch. That may be the picture you're seeing, which passengers also walked by on their way to the jetway. It has to do with visibility, said First Officer Juan, with the possibility of telling everyone that we truly feel welcome and are accepted for who we are. A station attendant, Renee Jr., added, "I'm here to support my daughter. One of my 4 children is part of this community. When I saw there was an opportunity to support her even more, I signed up for it right away." Before the flight took off, Captain Marseille made a speech to the passengers, stating that valuing people equally both in the air and on the ground, and celebrating our identities, no matter what they are, with customers and our employees is important to us. He concluded with RuPaul's Drag Race reference, saying, "Shantae, you all stay." Keith understands that.
Yep.
At that, the passengers erupted in laughter and applause. Another airline, Canada Flair, will celebrate its first drag show in the sky this month on a flight from Toronto to Guadalajara. We're throwing a drag show at 30,000 feet, because that's the kind of airline we are, Eric Tanner, Vice President Commercial at Flair, said in a statement. Pride is about visibility, inclusion, and joy. The flight is all three. We're proud to work alongside incredible partners to create something meaningful for our guests and communities, and to celebrate the vibrant diversity of everyone who works at Flair and chooses to fly with us. Is that a fun?
I hope they flew over the U.S. as
I was
we
going to
said.
say, they have to from Toronto to Guadalajara.
Yeah.
They're going right over the Midwest.
Good.
So here's another good story from Asia. Gay Chinese couple fulfill wedding dream in freer Thailand. So let's look at a picture of Wang Zhenghee, 41, and Song Jihan, 29. They first met at a friend's dinner party in China, and it was love at first sight. Nearly 3 years later, the gay Chinese couple are getting married in Thailand, which became Asia's largest nation to legalize same-sex marriage earlier this year, including for foreign couples.
Can they go back to China then?
They're going back after this. It won't be recognized, but
Yeah.
they are among the first Chinese LGBTQ pairs to tie the knot in the Southeast Asian country as it celebrates its first Pride since the law's passage. He believes they are the first gay Chinese couple to host a full wedding ceremony in Thailand, but that generally more will follow in their footsteps. I think we are unique so far, but I hope we can have a positive influence. Chinese authorities, as you know, decriminalized homosexuality in 1997, but same-sex marriage is not legal, and the social stigma is widespread, despite a period of relative relaxation. In the 2000s to mid-2010s, rights groups say recent years have seen a crackdown on the country's spaces and the community's spaces and freedom of expression. Real estate agent Owen Zhu has a property business in Thailand and also helps gay Chinese people come to Thailand to get married. Zhu, 40, said that the biggest difficulties couples like Wang and Song face are linked to paperwork as well as prejudice. It's hard in China to obtain certificates of single status required by Thailand, proving that they're not married. China also does not recognize same-sex marriages registered abroad. But Zhu believes that despite China's bureaucratic hurdles, there will be a rise in the number of Chinese couples looking to wed, even live long-term in Thailand. Thailand is a particularly tempting place, allowing freedom to do things not possible in China, like holding hands or kissing a partner in public. In China, you can't do that kind of stuff. The simple act of signing a marriage document is deeply meaningful to his clients. More than 30 countries have legalized marriage for all since the Netherlands became the first to allow same-sex unions in 2001. Thailand was the third place in Asia after Taiwan and Nepal. Surrounded by dozens of close friends and their ring-bearing small fluffy dog who is unnamed, which bummed me out because we saw a picture of this fluffy dog. Wing and Song sang love ballads to each other on sandy Pattaya Beach before tearfully reading their wedding vows. They will return home to China after their honeymoon, but hope eventually to retire to Thailand. So that's kind of fun.
Yes, and if you have a clip, you should probably do it now.
Ask and you shall receive. Now we have a movie from Spain called So My Grandma's a Lesbian. Filled.
My grandkids could say that.
They were, yeah, it's all three of them. So this is in Spain, and it was filmed on the Canary Islands, where I always wanted to go. And the plot is, this is from 2020, so you can find it. A promising young lawyer sees her plans to wed to an important and ultra-conservative family in danger when her grandma decides to marry her girlfriend. And this is, we can see this on Netflix. So let's show a clip from So My Grandma's a Lesbian.
I want to see that.
Celia, antes tenemos que anunciarlo.
¿Estás segura?
Yo sí. ¿Y tú?
Pecaso, la fiesta de compromiso es este viernes y necesito tu ayuda con mis suegros. Son pro-Brexit y ultra religiosos.
¿Que te casas?
Yaya.
Y tengo una cosa que contarte. ¿Estás sentada?
¿Tú sabías que la Yaya...
Que la Yaya... Eva,
Como se enteren los padres de Stuart.
no se te ocurre manipularla.
Mira, mamá, hay cosas que uno...
Hi, Stuart.
Mi abuela, que está muy mayor y está sola y quizá debería ir a verla.
¿Qué te pasa? ¿Estás loca o qué?
Mira, perdona, ¿podrías llevarme al pueblo?
Que no te conozco nada y no sé. Tú puedes ser un gancho.
No soy buena persona, de verdad. Tú no eres de aquí, ¿verdad?
Sí, soy de aquí, pero vengo poco.
¿Ya que has venido?
Mi madre no está bien. ¿Y tú qué has venido?
Jorge, tu madre y yo nos queremos. Y vamos a casarnos.
Mi madre era una artista de la acción, mi hermano gay. Y ahora tengo una abuela bollo. Eran tristísimos, consolándose el uno al otro.
¿Casaros? Es un pueblo, mamá, un pueblo. ¿Y la iglesia?
¿Qué problema hay?
Lo sabe el cura.
Está enteradísimo.
¿Casaros? El Papa está conmigo.
Ay, mamá.
Ay, bueno.
¿Esas botas?
¿Te digo yo algo de tus pelos?
¿Qué piensa de las bodas gays?
Eva.
Estoy harta de esta familia. Sois todos unos egoístas y vais a destrozar mi boda y mi vida.
Nice clip.
You want to be in it.
I want to be in it. I
Yeah.
want my story told.
Well, we have a filmmaker on the set behind the camera. Maybe he could help us out, although he does horror films. But maybe he
Well,
can expand.
that's
Get
Linda
out.
Chandra.
All right. I have some more exciting new stories.
Yeah, we really have to move on. If we have time, we'll
All
come
right.
back to you.
We'll
How's
return.
that?
Keith.
Mine aren't that long, so
Okay, I'm ready.
because I know. Okay, so first and foremost, Pride Center. They are still asking for support and help to putting some pressure on the Department of Health, our legislators, and the Scott administration to step up and try and replace the $200,000 that has been cut from their healthcare budget. They had a grant for $250,000 that had been cut to $50,000. And this is going to devastate their healthcare programs, specifically their HIV and AIDS program, but also their transgender healthcare, navigation, peer support, their culturally responsive services for rural BIPOC and low-income queer Vermonters. I mean, this is going to truly gut what it is that they've been giving for services. And with the interview with Cal, you know, they're looking at what is it that we can do? Because these are critical services. You know, in their statement is this is a public health issue and an equity issue. It is deeply harmful in a time when queer and especially trans rights are under attack in virtually every state and at a national level. And so following up on that, I'm going to jump to, there was a story, lead story in the Boston Globe, New Hampshire. Trans families are leaving.
New Hampshire.
Leaving New Hampshire because they are concerned that with their current governor and with the huge shift within their legislature being more heavily Republican dominated, that they have House Bill 377, known as the Vulnerable Child Compassion and Protection Act. This would ban hormone treatments, puberty blockers for children under 18 when the treatments are used to affirm the child's gender. And if you talk to people at Outright and you talk to the youth, it was being able to enter into these types of treatment programs that literally saved people's lives. And here are families, parents, guardians saying, I need to look out for protecting my children. And they interviewed several families who moved from New Hampshire to California to ensure that their kids get the treatment they
Why
need.
not Massachusetts?
Or Vermont?
Anyway, yeah.
I think because of access to services and sort of, we've got the SHIELD law, we have protections in place, but there may be better treatment centers and treatment options in a larger, so
I don't know when Newsom gets arrested.
Oh, stop.
moving on. And the comment in the Boston Globe is, if New Hampshire passes this law, it's going to be the first state in New England that has enacted this ban, but they'll be joining 25 other states that
What is
currently
their
ban
legislature,
treatment.
do you know? Democrat,
No,
Republican?
I just said it
I'm
was,
sorry.
it is heavily
said
Republican.
It
now.
is. Oh, you
Yes,
should say
there-
that. Okay.
it's a trifecta.
Uh-huh.
Maine,
Okay.
Maine, and I got a little more nuance about some of the things that were going on. I have reported, or we have reported on the conservative Republican House representative in Maine who was censored by the speaker for having posted on X
Right.
their personal social platform disclosing information about a transgender youth athlete. While they've been going, they have filed a petition that they shouldn't be censored. It's taking away their district's freedom of speech, their rights, because they cannot vote, or their vote doesn't count, and they cannot speak on the floor and debate. And it had gone through the appellate court, and they pushed it up to the U.S. Supreme Court level. Supreme Court has issued a temporary injunction saying they have to allow the legislator to vote and debate. But it wasn't a final ruling. It goes back down to the appellate court where it is being argued again. So it's, the Supreme Court said, you're right, there are issues here that need to be looked at. But what's interesting is the brief isn't signed by the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, and it doesn't say the basis of their ruling. It just said they were ruling in the legislator's favor. So that kind of leaves it wide open, and who knows where it's going to go. However, what came out as part of this whole process, and the Maine Attorney General, this legislator, when they posted on X, and I'm showing your picture as the trans athlete, the other athletes that were in the same photograph, they blurred out their faces. So you were the only one who was identified. Interesting. Okay, and looking at what I saw as one of the other major stories is our Attorney General, Charity Clark, filed suit along with a number of other states against the current administration about their closing the Job Corps sites, which, from knowing families, particularly for queer youth, this has been an incredible asset. And they were going to close the facility in Virgins. Charity successfully argued for a federal appeals court to get a stay on the injunction so they cannot close the programs and they cannot close the sites. And one of the things that I had heard anecdotally from some of our queer families is they had a child who was in Job Corps who was ready to graduate and just waiting for placement. It's like they were finally going to get on with their lives. And because of the pulling of the funding and pulling of the professional staff, all of that stopped. So it was like, the 3 to 4 years you had spent in this program were all lost because they could now not place you in a job placement. And ending on a good note, and I'm told that somebody might already have a copy of this, Spent, graphic novel, Alison Bechdel. And it's interesting, reading the narrative about this work, it's like the main character's name is Allison. Oh my. People are like, is this autobiographical? And a lot of the events happened in, St. Johnsbury, Montpelier, Burlington. And it's just this response to capitalism. And when Alison Bechdel was interviewed, she said she got out Marx's books and she read them and she was trying to figure out how to construct it. And it's like, this needs to be a comic book. So, and there was a successful book signing at Bear Pond. So my guess is there are books available at Bear Pond and someone may already have one.
I know it, and I wasn't at the event, but I still got a signed copy.
There you go.
I was going to say, Bear Pond is usually good when there is an author who comes getting extra autographs so that they have them on hand too.
And they were sold out,
Oh, were they?
yes. I mean, the event was sold out.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's a small space too, but I mean,
Yeah.
I bet there were people circle.
Well, when we went to Becca's, that was sold out, and her book sold out at that event.
Yeah.
So,
Well, our community has lost an icon in Edmund White this time. He mined his own life story, including his vast and various catalog of sexual experiences, in more than 30 books of fiction and nonfiction, and hundreds of articles and essays, becoming a grandee of New York literary world for more than half a century. He died on Tuesday at his home in Manhattan. He was 85. His death was confirmed by his husband, Michael Carroll, who said Mr. White had collapsed while weakened by a vicious stomach bug. The precise cause of his death is still unknown. Mr. White had been HIV positive since the 1980s and survived 2 major strokes in 2012 and a heart attack in 2014. Mr. White's output was almost equally divided between fiction and nonfiction. Many of his books were critical success and several were bestsellers. The Chicago Tribune labeled him the godfather of queer literature. And here's his picture.
I was going to say, for those of us in the Men Who Have Sex with Men's community, he was a turning point for us in as far as literature, storytelling, content, and being able to see your life reflected back to you. Right?
And crucially, he was a member of the historically really important Violet Quill Club.
Yeah.
Yes.
With and several of those participants died early of age, like David Feinberg, but
Yep.
also Felice Picano was a member who just died this year, too.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking collection of gay men in the village.
They're all together on the top shelf of one of my bookcases.
Very sad.
Yeah, it's hard losing
Yeah.
such wonderful people. And unfortunately, in Ohio, again, they've announced that they will be closing their LGBTQ plus student centers to comply with the state ban on diversity, equality, and inclusion initiatives. As a result, several colleges have shuttered their LGBTQ plus centers and related services. Ohio State University has so far closed 2 DEI offices, cut 16 staff positions, and took down its website, offering support to LGBTQ plus students.
People are going to start leaving Ohio, I think,
Yeah, I wish they would.
if they can.
And Puerto Rico makes X markers allowed, so that was good.
X markers on official documents?
Yes, on
Uh-huh.
passports. I know. I don't know if they can have a different standing than the country because they're not. I don't know. Anyway, they did allow it. So,
Interesting.
yep. And this is a very sad story about like these. They stood in formation at Falcom Stadium, diplomas in hand, having met every standard of physical endurance, academic excellence, and military discipline. But on Thursday, when the time came for the U.S. Air Force Academy class of 25 in Colorado Springs, Colorado, to commission these cadets, second lieutenants, 3 cadets, and graduated from the academy. And under a newly reinstated Trump administration ban, they will not be allowed to serve.
Very sad.
Yep.
Yep. It turns out, like, here's a little actor gossip yam, which I know you like. Well, actually, it's comedian. Well, anyway, the child of actor-comedian Eddie Murphy and Spice Girl Melanie Brown appears to have quietly come out as a trans man. 18-year-old Angel Murphy Brown reportedly updated his Instagram bio to share he uses the pronouns him as a move that sources say has been supported by his famous parents.
Eddie Murphy's child?
Yes. Eddie Murphy and Melanie Brown, who was a Spice Girl,
Right.
apparently.
Very interesting.
Duh? Okay.
In another reversal of the Biden administration expansion of federal protections for LGBTQ plus Americans, the Department of Homeland Security has eliminated language in internal documents prohibiting the surveillance of individual or group based solely on their sexual orientation or gender identity. 2 weeks ago, the DHS Office of Intelligence and Analysis updated its policy manual to fall in line with President Trump's executive orders exercising diversity, equity, and inclusion, both policies from federal agencies, and declaring there are only 2 immutable sexes, male and female.
Excising.
Yeah. So that's that. Oh, and let's see, we'll give Ann a few more minutes, but this is a fun story, but, well, it's not fun, but anyway, the Alabama Public Library Service voted to pause $40,000 in funding to the Fairhope Public Library after the anti-LGBTQ activist groups Clean Up Alabama and Moms for Liberty complained that the library had failed to abide by recent LGBTQ book bans. However, a fundraiser quickly replaced the funding and then some. Passionate about free speech, the local anti-censorship activity group Read Freely, Alabama created a fundraiser to cover the loss. So they got more money from fundraising than they would have gotten from the state. However, they did fire the woman who was head of the library, and who knows what will happen with that. But at least, people are fighting back in
Right.
whatever small and big ways that they can. So, anyway, Ann, you probably have about, maybe 3 minutes or so to.
All right, I'll go through some headlines because I have all these pictures. Let's take a look now at Darren Carter, who is the director of Bristol Pride. We're in the UK now. At Martin Parr's exhibition. And the title of this story is So Much Joy. Show brings Martin Parr's low-key visits to Bristol Pride to light. And Martin Parr is a famous photographer who's an ally. And I looked up whether or not he was gay, and Google reprimanded me. Some people's, you need to observe people's privacy. That was a little interesting aside in my preparation.
That's a change.
So anyway, this ally spent all these years going to Bristol Pride, and he took pictures all around England, and then he lived in Bristol, so he finally went home to Bristol and made regular visits to Bristol Pride. So now his photographs are being showed at the Bristol Museum and Art Gallery, and it's photographs of pride parades. So people dress up in the rainbow. He says, they dress up. He had shot pride events in Manchester and the Isle of Wight, but Bristol is the most lively. So that's an interesting little.
I heard Manchester was kind of a so-so area for LGBTQ people.
Well, let's look now at Sir Ian McKellen, who's going to host a Shakespeare play with all trans and non-binary cast, which is really a hoot. It's a one-evening show on July 25th at the Space Theatre in London. It's going to be live streamed online, so we can tune in. Twelfth Night is perhaps the funniest and most moving of Shakespeare's plays, he said in social media post for the theater company, which is called Trans What You Will. The adaptability of Twelfth Night is achieved through the complexity of gender and sexuality from first to last. I'm really looking forward to the impact of this latest version of the play at this space. I hope to see you there. Now, this is a story held over from last time, so I'm glad I can do it now. Paris unveils a memorial to LGBTQ victims of the Nazi regime and other persecutions. And let's look at a picture now. This is artist Jean-Luc Varna, who is posing before this memorial to the long-ignored gay victims of the Nazi regime and to all LGBTQ people persecuted throughout history. This has been unveiled in Paris near the Bastille Palace. It's a sculpture that looks like a big star wand lying on the ground. The artist is also an LGBTQ rights activist. There's a black side in front of us forcing us to remember. At certain times of the day, it casts a long shadow on the ground, evoking the dangers looming over sadly. On the other side of the star, silvery, the other side reflects the sky. It represents the color of time passing, with the Paris sky moving as quickly as public opinion, which can change at any moment, he said. Historians estimate between 5,000 and 15,000 people were deported throughout Europe by the Nazi regime during World War II because they were gay. Jacques Chirac in 2005 was the first president in France to recognize these crimes, acknowledging LGBTQ people have been hunted down, arrested, and deported. The deputy mayor of Paris and a longtime LGBTQ rights activist said, "We didn't know, unfortunately, that this monument would be inaugurated at one of the worst moments we're going through right now," and he mentioned Donald Trump's administration. Next headline, Hungary banned pride. Now, European leaders are going to march in the Budapest Pride Parade. At
Hey.
least 70 members of the European Parliament are going to do that.
Okay, we gotta move on. We have trivia.
And you know the answers.
I do.
And for the last time.
Oh, we can recite it in unison.
First out gay man elected to the Vermont legislature is
Ron
Squires, elected in 1990 from Wyndham 5. First out lesbian,
Susie Wizawati.
who someone may have interviewed, who was elected in 2008 representing Chittenden 6-5. First out trans would be our favorite.
Taylor Swift.
There we are, elected in 2020 representing Chittenden 6-7, which has
Also
been
interviewed on the show.
redistricted, but yes.
Yeah.
So with that, more than ever,
Yes.
Resist.
Remember to resist.